Okay, I want you to close your eyes for just a second, unless you're driving. Please don't do that if you're driving. And just summon a very specific sound.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
It's that rhythmic, mechanical click, clack, click of a keyboard. You know the one.
Yep.
It tells you exactly how fast your neighbor is typing. It tells you when they're on a roll, and it tells you when they're deleting a whole paragraph in frustration.
It is the soundtrack of modern existence. I swear I hear it in my sleep sometimes.
Right. So imagine hearing that sound 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, for an entire year. You are physically sitting maybe 3, 4 feet away from the person making that noise.
You know everything about their work habits.
You know their coffee order. You know exactly what time they leave for lunch. You know they sigh around 2, 3 p.m. But despite all that, sharing that same air, that same space, they're a complete and total stranger.
It's the great paradox of modern proximity, isn't it? We're physically intimate. I mean, we're sharing germs, oxygen, the room temperature, but emotionally, we're just worlds apart. We build these little invisible fortresses around our monitors.
Exactly. And that tension, that really weird, specific distance, is the launch pad for today's deep dive. We are looking at a story called The Space Between Desks.
Which is a standout piece from the collection Whispers in the Workspace. The healing power of quiet love. It's also referenced as Whispers of the Shape of Love by Abdullah al-Khalifa.
And I want to set the scene here because this isn't just about us retelling a romance.
No, absolutely not. We need to set expectations for you right now. This is not a Hallmark movie script. We're here to really analyze the mechanics of what Al-Khalifa calls quiet love. It's like a fascinating psychological profile of how connection can form in these really sterile environments.
Quiet love. I really love that term because, pop culture always tells us love is loud. It's supposed to be fireworks.
It's running through the airport.
Right, stopping the plane. But this source argues that true connection, especially now, often forms in that negative space.
It's about the almosts, the silence, and all the mistiming. It's about how two people can be these, corporate islands until one day the tide just shifts.
So let's set the stage. We are in a sleek, glass-paneled office building. It's in the middle of a vibrant city, but inside, it's all fluorescent lights and key cards and deadlines.
And that's where we meet our two subjects, Celine and Adam.
They work in different departments, which I think is a really key detail. They don't have a reason to talk about work.
But they share the same floor, same roof. And the text specifies a duration that is just, I think, so critical for our analysis. 12 months of silence.
12 months.
Yeah.
That is a long, long time to sit next to someone and only offer like a polite nod or a good morning.
It is. But the text is careful to distinguish this from like a hostile silence. It wasn't awkward. It was just a polite professional distance. And this creates what psychologists often call a perception gap. Because when you don't actually speak to someone, your brain doesn't just leave a blank space. It fills in the blanks. You project a whole character onto them.
And boy, did they project. Let's look at the data here. So Celine looks at Adam for a whole year. What does she see?
She sees a calm demeanor. She notices his youthful face, a gentle gaze. She basically categorizes him as peaceful. She creates this whole narrative that he's, untouched by the stress of the world.
Untouched.
Yeah.
Wow. And Adam, he's looking over at Celine and he's assuming she's younger than him. He sees her as poised, elegant, sharp.
The phrase in the source is that she looked like someone who had unraveled life's mysteries.
Which is such a heavy projection to put on a coworker who's probably just, checking her emails.
Maybe for real.
Yeah.
But notice the contrast. She sees peace. He sees competence. These are the masks we wear to survive the corporate grind.
The workplace mask.
Yeah, you don't bring your messy, complex, traumatized self to a glass-walled office. You bring your avatar.
That is a perfect way to put it. The avatar. So for a year, the avatar of calm sat next to the avatar of poise.
They were neighbors, but the real people inside, they hadn't met yet.
Yeah.
And the longer that silence goes on, the harder it is to break. You just solidify those avatars.
Until the glitch in the matrix. An ordinary Tuesday.
It's almost a literary trope because it's just so true to life. I mean, life-altering moments, they rarely happen during a big gala or a fire drill. They happen in the break room while the coffee machine is making weird gurgling noises.
So they're standing there, the silence finally breaks. And I love that it wasn't some deep philosophical question that started it. It wasn't, what is your deepest fear?
No. It was a poorly written company memo.
Shared suffering. It's the ultimate equalizer.
Well, There's actually sociolinguistic research on this. Complaining about a third party like a bureaucracy or a really bad memo, it signals safety. It says, I'm not one of them, the rule makers. I'm one of us, the people dealing with this nonsense.
Wow. So the bad memo was basically a white flag.
In a way, yeah. It signaled they were on the same team.
And that one laugh, it just cracked the door open. According to the story, the conversation just escalated so rapidly. They went from the memo to faith to music, books.
And then childhood memories.
Oh.
That rapid escalation, it suggests all this pressure had just been building. That perception gap was crumbling in real time. Once they poked a tiny hole in the dam, the water just rushed through.
And then comes the first big reality check. They realize they are both 35.
Which shatters their assumptions immediately.
Totally. Adam thought Celine was this young prodigy. Celine thought Adam was some youthful novice. Suddenly they're peers. They're on level ground.
But the age, I mean, that's just the surface level data point. The real connection came when they exposed what the author calls their quiet scars. This is where the story shifts from a workplace drama into a real character study.
Okay, let's dig into those scars. Because Adam's calmness, the very thing Celine admired for a whole year, it wasn't actually peace, was it?
No. And this is the tragedy of the Avatar. It was a survival mechanism. The source reveals Adam had a childhood of emotional neglect.
Oh.
He learned that being still and calm was the best way to avoid pain or criticism. He wasn't peaceful, he was hiding. He had literally conditioned himself to be invisible.
That hits hard. Celine saw Zen, but it was actually a trauma response. So what about Celine? She looked so poised and sharp.
That was her armor. She had this history of relationships that never quite fit. So she convinced herself her heart was basically unreachable, that poise wasn't confidence, it was a keep-out sign. She was just protecting herself from another failure.
This is why that timing mattered so much. I mean, if they had met a year earlier, when those masks were like fully welded on, would it have even worked?
I highly, highly doubt it. They needed that year of proximity to build a baseline of familiarity. And then they needed that one precise moment of vulnerability.
To dismantle the mask?
At the same time, if one had dropped the mask and the other hadn't, it would have been so awkward they had to jump together.
So the break room chat changes everything. The text describes this shift in their physical environment. Their desks go from being corporate islands to safe havens.
And that metaphor is doing so much heavy lifting. A corporate island is defensible. You protect your territory, you guard your work. A safe haven is restorative. They started relying on each other for, like, nervous system regulation.
They started texting late at night, then it became daily check-ins. It wasn't just, hey, did you see that email? It was actual life stuff.
And this is key. For Adam, the neglected child, having someone consistently there, someone who saw behind the calm mask and stayed, it allowed him to actually feel safe. He didn't have to perform calmness for her anymore.
And for Celine, who felt unreachable, she was finally being seen.
There's a specific line in the analysis of the source material that just stuck with me. Attraction gets you to look, vulnerability gets you to stay.
Exactly. They weren't just flirting, they were healing each other's specific wounds just by being present.
That is the healing power that's mentioned right there in the book's subtitle.
But they are still in the office. They're still surrounded by the click-clack of keyboards and deadlines. They had to test this new dynamic out in the wild.
Right. You can be intimate over text or, whisper in a cubicle, but can it survive the real world? Can it survive outside that little bubble? They needed a change of venue to find out.
So they plan a night out, but it's not a date. The source is very specific here. They were friends seeking respite from deadlines.
Plausible deniability. It's the safety net we all use when we aren't sure if the other person feels the same way. Oh, we're just blowing off steam. It lowers the stakes.
But the vibe, it shifted immediately. No fluorescent lights, just music, dancing, and laughter. And this is where we enter what I call the observation game.
Hyper-awareness. Yes. When you're with someone you have feelings for, your senses are just dialed up to 11. Celine admits she dressed up specifically for him. She's signaling intent. She catches him looking.
And Adam is basically recording everything. The text says he was memorizing detail.
What kind of detail?
The way she tucks her hair behind her ear, her lingering smile. The way she leans in when he talks.
Ah, that leaning in. It's a classic nonverbal cue. It reduces the physical distance. It's inviting the other person to cross that boundary. But notice Adam's restraint here. He doesn't lunge. He doesn't make a move on the dance floor.
The text says he was hesitant to disrupt the rare connection they were forging. He valued the haven more than the potential romance.
And that is the absolute definition of the quiet love theme. It's not about possession, it's about preservation. He was terrified that if he misread a signal, he would lose his safe haven. He would rather have her as a friend than lose her entirely.
But the tension, it eventually hits a breaking point. They step outside the venue.
The setting here is so vital. We've moved from the harsh office to the chaotic club and now to the quiet outdoors. Soft string lights, gentle night air. It creates this little pocket of intimacy.
And there's this one visual detail I found so interesting. Celine is holding a hookah pipe. It's such a specific grounding image.
It anchors the scene, you know. It's not some fairy tale balcony. It's a night out in the city. But the hookah pipe also implies a shared, slow activity. You don't rush through that. It forces you to sit and exhale and just be. It fits their dynamic perfectly.
And then the move, Adam leans in, and this is the part that stresses me out every time I read it, he doesn't go for the mouth. He brushes his lips against her cheek.
It's the final permission check. He is testing the water. If she pulls back, he can play it up as a friendly, European-style goodbye kiss. Good night, see you at work. It saves face. But if she stays...
She didn't pull back. The source says she smiled with calm certainty.
That phrase, calm certainty, that is the answer to her unreachable heart. She wasn't afraid. She wasn't questioning. She was ready.
So he kisses her. And the description of this kiss... Okay, we have to unpack this. It's not described as hot or electric. The author writes that it contained the weight of pain, healing, and yearning, and then he uses one single word to summarize it. Freedom.
Freedom is such a profound choice of word there. I mean, think about their quiet scars. Adam is free from the need to hide his pain. Celine is free from the belief that she's unlovable. The kiss wasn't just an act of affection. It was their liberation from solitary confinement.
It's almost like they were both just exhaling for the first time in years. Like they were finally putting down this heavy backpack they didn't even realize they were carrying.
Exactly. It was that realization, I don't have to carry this alone anymore. Someone else knows the weight of it.
So usually in these stories, this is where we'd cut to black. They kiss, the music swells, credits roll, but the text actually gives us the resolution. They didn't just rush off to Vegas.
No, not at all. Consistent with the whole slow burn theme, the relationship just blossomed quietly. They didn't change who they were. They just integrated their lives.
They found home in each other, and a few months later, in a softly lit room, they got engaged.
And notice the lighting again. We started with harsh fluorescence, we moved to string lights, and we end in a softly lit room. The lighting actually tracks the softening of their defenses. It gets warmer, more intimate.
That's a great catch. And their engagement promise wasn't just "I love you," it was a promise of understanding.
And understanding is often more durable than passion. Passion burns out. Understanding endures. The source notes that the rhythm of their hearts spoke enough. They circled all the way back to silence. But this time, it wasn't the silence of strangers. It was the companionable silence of partners who don't need to speak to communicate.
It validates Abdullah al-Khalifa's entire thesis, doesn't it?
It really does. And let's zoom out to the author for a moment. Whispers of the Shape of Love is really, it's a counter-narrative to modern dating culture.
Right, because we live in the era of the swipe. Instant gratification, love bombing, ghosting. If you don't feel a spark in the first 5 minutes, you just move on.
And al-Khalifa is arguing for attachment through restraint. He thinks that love nurtures itself in silence. It's a slow bake, not a microwave meal. He argues that real love is about presence, not possession.
I like that distinction, presence versus possession. Can you expand on that a bit?
Well, in modern romance, we often try to consume the other person. We want to know everything immediately. We want to own their time, their attention. Adam and Celine didn't do that. They just sat with their own emotions, even the painful ones, and they allowed the connection to grow around them. They didn't use the other person to escape their own lives. They invited the other person into their lives.
It suggests that if they had tried to force a date back in month 1 when they were still Avatar Adam and Avatar Celine, it would have just failed miserably.
Oh, almost certainly. They would have been connecting mask to mask, not heart to heart. They had to be ready to drop the act.
It's also kind of a rebellious idea, finding deep emotional healing in an office. I mean, these places are designed for productivity, not intimacy. They're designed to strip away our humanity and turn us into workers.
It humanizes the workspace. It's a reminder that every person you hear typing away, every person you nod to at the coffee machine, has a universe of history inside them. We tend to view our colleagues as NPCs, non-player characters in the background of our own movie.
Right.
This story forces us to see them as protagonists of their own struggles.
It makes you look at the guy in accounting a little differently. Maybe he's not just boring Dave. Maybe he's Adam holding it all together.
Exactly.
So for the listener who is maybe commuting to their own glass box right now or sitting in one, what is the takeaway? Why should they care about Celine and Adam?
I think the key takeaway is patience and perception. Celine and Adam were perfectly matched, but they were hidden in plain sight from each other for a whole year. The moral is that love doesn't always announce itself with a marching band.
No trumpets.
No trumpets. Sometimes it's just the person who hates the same memo you do. Sometimes it's the person who remembers how you take your coffee.
It completely reframes the boring parts of life. The wanting, the silence. We usually try to fill the silence, but this story says the silence is where the roots grow.
The source material emphasizes that love nurtures itself in silence, respect, and laughter. It arrives when you stop trying to kick the door open and just notice who is standing right next to you.
And as the author puts it, when it arrives, it feels like everything you didn't realize you were longing for.
It makes you wonder what we're missing because we're all so busy looking for the fireworks. We want the cinematic moment, but the enduring moment is usually the quiet one.
And that is the question I want to leave you with today. We've talked about the year of silence, but look at your own life.
Is there a quiet connection you're overlooking?
Are you ignoring a gentle whisper because you're waiting for a shout? Look around your corporate island. You never know who might be on the other side of the glass.
Indeed. It might be time to take off the mask, even just for a little bit.
If you want to explore these themes of silence and connection further, the collection Whispers of the Shape of Love by Abdullah Al-Khalifa is available as an ebook on Amazon Kindle. It's a quick read, but it really stays with you. It's one of those books that makes you pay more attention to the details.
Highly recommended for anyone trying to understand the strength of emotional restraint.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening, and thanks for being willing to look a little closer at the world around you.
Until next time.
See you then.